Okay, guys, we're here to recap season 5, episode number 10 of Carl Weber's The Family Business season finale. We're going to recap the entire episode scene by scene, and we're going to come back later with the scene breakdowns as well as the predictions for season 6. I'm going to tell you what I liked, I'm going to tell you what I didn't like, and how this is propelling us forward on what's going to happen next. So the scene opened with Roscoe doing the right thing. He let Orlando and Vegas go. They were standing in the middle of the woods. He took the handcuffs off and they were free to go. And I'll tell you why he did this a little bit later. So after Billy Bob heard this news that they had been let go, they weren't happy about this. And I think that they probably thought that they had escaped because the sheriff then told him that they're going to have some fun with capturing those two. He said that his deputies were blocking off all the roads and the Orlando and Vegas were on foot, so they couldn't get really far. Of course, Tami did not think that this was a good idea, but the senator told him that they're going to go back to their old way of doing things. So without me saying this, I think that we already know what that means. And the reason that they were let go is because LC wired $100,000 to KD to bring them back. So KD gave the money to Roscoe and voila, they're free. So Rio and Coretta finally made it to her house, and Rio felt kind of out of place. You know, he's not used to regular surroundings. With his plush lifestyle. So he's there waiting on Roman, and he was asking Aunt Coretta if Roman knew about him, and she told him no, because Margaret would have hated her if she did that. So it was still their secret. And then Rio sat there and he started reminiscing about he and Paris's twinship, and he was just as confused. He thought that Margaret was his mother. So apparently the first time Aunt Coretta did not break it down to him properly, or he just failed to understand. And Paris is actually leaving him voice messages because he's still in his feelings. I guess he doesn't want to talk to her because he's mad because she did not meet him at the hospital. And she's kind of worried about Rio at this point because Rio still thinks that Margaret is his mom. And cousin Curtis told her that he has things rolling on Niles at the flower shop. So now Coretta began to tell Rio the story about when they were born. And it was in a flashback scene. She told him about Margaret being a nurse in the hospital where Elsie and Chippy delivered them. How Elsie was pacing back and forth as if this was his first child. And of course, Chippy was nervous. Margaret began questioning her about how many kids that she had. And she said that this was her 4th pregnancy. And we learned that prior to this, Margaret had a stillbirth about 2 weeks ago and miscarriages, I think 2 of them. So she can't have any kids, and she shouldn't have been at work. Period. Not only should she have been recovering, but, mentally she was not all there, clearly. And speaking of their kids, Roman is in the alley, still running away from Vonnie, but he can't find him. He's mad, he's mad that Roman got away again. But here we can see he's hiding between the trash cans. So back to the hillbillies in the woods. They're waving their flags and toting their guns, walking through the woods, trying to find Orlando and Vegas. And then Billy Bob swore he heard something moving through the woods, and then one of his friends said, no, it's just a deer, it's not anything. So when they went looking to find out what it was, Orlando and Vegas cracked their necks and prepared to take their guns until another hillbilly showed up. Now we know they weren't going to make it that easy. So Junior finally went home to the Duncans, where he hasn't been since last season, and he ran into London. London had some choice words for him. He told London that he was there to see Sonia, and she told him that Sonia may be trying to get rid of something, if you know what I mean. She really couldn't talk. She had to talk in code, I guess, because the children were standing right there on the stairs. So she told him to look at his GPS or the tracker that he has on her. I don't know. But she told him that, tracker, it's your wife, you should know where she is. And then he tracked her and checked the location, and sure enough, she was at the women's clinic. Then we move on to Brother Elijah, and he's calling LC to deliver the news that Brother Minister was trying to give to him, but LC is unreachable. So the aide, or Brother Minister's number 1, told him to call LC's son. And while they were doing that, there was a delivery that came for Elijah, who was, of course, now in charge, and Elsie is summoning them back to the yacht. Then the detective came with the bad news that Brother Minister was found dead in Los Angeles, and they really couldn't believe him at first, but he had pictures to prove it. And naturally, they wanted to know what happened, and he told them that Brother Minister was shot at point-blank range. So this lets us know that it was personal. So Junior finally made it to the clinic, and he got there in time. Sonia said that she really could not go through with it. She was just there to pick up her vitamins at that point. Junior expressed to her that he wants her to come back home. She said, nah, I want that same energy that you had when you were at Hellfire Club, when you were surrounded by all the s'mores and living like a frat boy. And Junior admitted that he was being a total ass, right? He admitted to her that the pregnancy woke him up. Sonia and the baby is everything to him, you know, yada yada, the usual. He said that his anger and his frustration ruined everything and that he was truly sorry. So Sonia said that it ain't over. Although she forgave him, it wasn't over. So now we see Paris and Chippy back at the yacht. And of course, Consuela had all the smoke for Paris. She didn't really want to see them there. And we know now that Elsie is the one that called the meeting. Juan had to tell Consuela to relax. And Consuela should know better than that, not to talk to Chippy and Paris out of the side of her neck. Come on, what's wrong with you? Just keep talking. Find your ass overboard in a minute. Chippy told him that Elsie was rescuing the boys from Dixie Mafia. Then Consuela said, oh, they're just a bunch of hillbillies. But Senor Cruz had to explain to her that these are real evil criminals, high-ranking officials. So Chippy told them that she needed their help, and it's all about power. And of course, we know Senor Cruz is the first one to speak up and say that they will support them, ride or die. Elsie called Chippy on the phone, and she stepped away to take the call. He said that he and the boys were fine. He told her what happened. Elsie shot the hillbillies, the boys were released, and they had a car waiting for them. Just leave it to Pops and he'll make everything all right. So Junior and Sonia made it home, and Sonia said that she was not going to let Junior walk away from them again. And she basically wants to stay there, but Junior said that he wants his own family, but away from the Duncan house. And at this time, LC, Vegas, and Orlando were home. And this is the very first time that we saw LC say anything to Junior for an entire season, telling him, welcome home, it's good to have you back, you know, as if he was on a trip or something, like he's coming back from vacation. And of course, Junior and his mouthpiece was getting him in trouble. He's going off on LC, giving him so much disrespect, but Vegas had to shorten it. You know, he was like, hey, you know, watch your mouth, basically. And LC wanted to talk to Junior man to man, but Junior wasn't having it. Junior was like, you had over 30 years, bro, to talk to me, and now all of a sudden you want to talk. He was very upset because he said that Sasha was his sister, but she died and didn't have any idea that they were sister and brother. Then Junior said that he always wondered why Vegas acted as if he were the older brother, even though Junior was the oldest. And I've always thought this too. And then LC said something along the lines of, you know, don't you care about your family? And Junior said, well, I care about my other family too, Donna and Sonia, and their baby who won't be taken from them like he was. So he's trying to get Sonia to go over Donna's house, and Sonia was there like you know how kids be acting when they're not ready to go home, like maybe they're at their grandmother's house or something. This is what Sonia was giving. Junior said that he had a meeting and that they had to go. Now that Perry saw that Chippy had calmed down and things were okay with the brothers, she let her know that she had to go to lunch. At this time, Elijah arrived at the yacht, he and the brothers, and he broke the news that Brother Minister had been murdered by the Alliance. The Alliance, who was led by Junior Duncan. And they were in disbelief. They couldn't believe it. But Consuela confirmed it. She said that Junior had been hanging out pretty tough at the Hellfire Club with Antonio. And of course, Brother Elijah, he's ready to retaliate, but Juan convinced him to wait. You know, wait until we get him buried and wait until I can let LC know what's going on because it's such a delicate situation. Elijah said, okay, I'll wait. But after that, it's on. Antonio and Dominique are having lunch with the dirty senator, and he's trying to recruit the senator, right? And the senator was like, well, you know, let me chew on it a little bit. Let me think about it. This is getting messier and messier. So Roman finally made it home after spending the night in between some trash cans. But Vonnie caught up with him this time, and he held the gun to his head, and he wants his $250K, but it's gone. He told him that he spent it on his mom, who was in the hospital, and then Vonnie punched him, even though he told him that his mom needed an operation really bad. Rio showed up, and I knew this was going to happen. I knew it. I talked about this in a previous video, but Rio showed up, shot Vonnie, and then Rio got up, and he wanted to know why he wanted to help him, because he remembered Rio from when he tried to rob him and Chippy in the church parking lot. After they talked to the little church lady, oh, and shout out to the church lady. She were in the comments, and she's a really nice lady, so shout out to her. And Rio just broke the news to him right then and there on the sidewalk. He said, "I helped you because you're my brother." And of course, now Roman is just as confused as Rio was 10 minutes ago. Now we have Bobby the Beast and Paris having their lunch. I'm not sure if it was lunch or dinner, because when Bobby the Beast came back to the table, he referred to it as dinner. But anyway, nonetheless, there's a fan there who wants to take a picture. And while he was gone, Curtis called Paris, and he told her that the files that they got from the flower shop were no good, but they did get information on the license plate. And the license plate was registered to whom? Bobby the Beast. Bobby the Beast boy. Curtis told her that Niles Monroe is his cousin. And at this point, Bobby the Beast didn't have anything to say. He didn't have a defense against that. So he just started running his mouth and telling Paris that she didn't have the guts to shoot him in front of all these people. But Paris took her gun and she was like, "Oh yeah, okay." So she took the gun out of her purse, and she tried to shoot him, but he had removed all the bullets before they left. So Paris is slipping. She's slipping bad. And then guess who came to sit at the table with her? Niles Monroe himself, in the flesh. And you know, Niles had this little spiel about the woman that I love tried to kill me. And he told her something that we've all suspected, that had she told him that the person that he was supposed to assassinate was LC, her father, that he wouldn't have taken the job. But she knew Niles. She knew that once he got part of the money, that there was no looking back. He was going to complete the job. But he said he may have not taken the job for her. He would have did it for her. And then he said after all of that, he still loved her, and that he wanted her to know that he's still out there and he can take her or her father out at any time. Then he left. What a lunch, right? Then the Duncans are at home having family dinner. I told y'all, they always have these tables decked out with food, good food. Look at that fried chicken. And Elsie's looking kind of sad. He looks kind of blue. I mean, he realizes now how angry and upset Junior is. And I don't know why he couldn't figure this out sooner, but that's neither here nor there. Juan and Marco came over to deliver the news about Brother Minister. And of course, I had to let him know about this new alliance, who was headed by his estranged son, Junior. And Orlando took this pretty hard, because Brother Minister is the one who trained like all of the Duncan kids. So he was taking it pretty hard. He was upset. He wanted to fight Junior. He was just he was really going through it right now. And in the meantime, Junior is at the table with Sonia at this emergency meeting. They were all informed that Brother Minister's staff now knows about what they did. And who do we see sitting at the table now who had to chew on it, quote unquote? The senator. He decided to join the alliance. Now, while all of this news is hitting the fan, Rio came home with Roman. Of course, when Chippy saw him, she wanted to F him up on sight, right? But Rio had to tell her that that was her son. So then we had our last flashback of the episode where Rio had to explain about what happened in the hospital. Elsie took Paris and Rio to the nursery. Then suddenly Chippy started to feel uncomfortable. She started feeling all of this pain. She wanted Margaret to give her something for it. So Margaret gave her some pain medicine that made her knock out. She passed out. And right before she passed out, she pushed. And what she pushed out was little Rio. Right before all of this happened, Chippy expressed to her that she didn't want to have any more kids. So Margaret saw this as her miracle baby. And I can see how all of this happened, because Margaret's state of mind was not 100% healthy. It wasn't the best. She shouldn't have been at work so soon. It does not excuse anything, but you know, I can understand. I understand why she thought that way. But our final scene shows the alliance and Junior belting out this hellish laugh, saying that they are now at war. End scene. And I really, really, really enjoyed this episode 110%. The only thing that I was not too happy about is the way that it just seemed rushed. Everything was rushed. All the scenes were rushed. The storylines were rushed. Like, let's hurry up and get to the end so we can start season 6. That's how it felt. Even though it probably was not like that. I don't know if it was the synopsis where everyone expected, everything to happen. I'm not really sure, but it just seemed rushed to me. But other than that, it was on point, of course, as always. And that's it, good people. That was your recap. And I'm so sorry if it sounds like I was whispering throughout some of this video. It's because I was. Everybody in the house is asleep, so I gotta be careful, right? Just being respectful. But anyway, you guys, thank you so much for tuning in tonight or this morning, and I'm gonna see you on the next one.